Now on Facebook.
And in 3, 2, 1.
All right, it's time for the Nerdy News. I'm the host of the Nerdy News, Russ Rollins, along with the man who knows everything about the Nerdy News, Jeff Kaufman from Kaufman and Lynn. And, of course, we've got Ryan Holmes, who's handling our production for us and hangs out with us.
Yes.
How many Nerdy News have we done so far?
I think we're at 5.
No, we're on like 11.
11.
I believe this is the 11th episode.
This is 11?
This is the 11th episode.
Yeah. We appreciate you guys listening and checking out our podcast. Of course, now you can get the podcast, I guess, on all platforms, which is very cool. And today, this is Wednesday. What's today's date? Like the 21st?
It's the second to last Wednesday of August.
And the biggest news story today is about Spider-Man. Is Spider-Man going to be a part of the Marvel universe or not? And of course, Ryan Holmes, you said earlier that it would make you very upset if Spider-Man wasn't part of the Marvel universe.
It would, because it's the first time they didn't ruin Spider-Man. The first Spider-Man that came out when Sony first got it in the early 2000s, it was cool. It was cool to see, but it was an origin story. But you deal with that. Because you're bringing in the mainstream people, and I was okay with that. Then they did the third Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire. God awful, terrible, bad. Then the two with Andrew Garfield, awful.
See, I disagree but the third Spider-Man that you're talking about, I thought was terrible. Where the thing with Venom and they really screwed up the way
Venom, Harry Osborn. It was a weird one. It was a weird. See, Sony has a problem. Sony doesn't quite know what they're doing right now with their movies. They used to be on top, and now Disney has a formula, and the formula works. They get high-end guys to do their stuff. They know what they're doing, and the fear is that Sony's like, oh well, now that Spider-Man's making money, we'll take it back again because we don't want to give control, because whether we like it or not, Disney now makes up 40% of the market.
Yeah,
and if you're Sony, you're going to go, well, they're going to eat us up sooner or later,
right?
They're just going to bury us in. And they're like, well, maybe we should try to take it back and do it on our own. Maybe it's a shot across the bow, as they say in the Pirates of the Caribbean, I guess.
So just so I can understand. So basically, Sony has rights to Spider-Man now, and they allowed Marvel to use Spider-Man in the Marvel movie, correct?
Right.
And now they're saying they might not allow that to happen anymore if they don't get more. This
is what happened. Marvel says, "Listen, we get 5%. A lot of people don't know the money structure. Mm-hmm. Marvel gets 5% of the gross.
Okay,
so which means that forget expenses, forget this. The movie makes $200 million. They get $10 million. Mm-hmm. So Marvel says, well, that's an okay deal, but we want more money. We want more credit. And Sony's like, they're all up in arms now because they think they're geniuses because Venom worked out, and Venom worked out because of Tom Hardy, not because Venom was such a great movie, but because they got a good actor to play him.
I tried to watch it again. It's not that great of a movie. No. I thought I liked it. That was one of the ones, very few, where I watched it the first time I liked it. Second time I'm like, kind of got bored halfway through.
It's funny. I look at there's a lot of other geeky guys. Like, let me take a look. Patricio is one of these guys who thinks he knows a lot about comic books, and he pops on and he says, "Oh, I like this guy, I like that guy." But
pops on what? Are you talking about?
Yeah, the Facebook. We're running Facebook Live, and Billy Tucci, who did our cover, popped on. But I mean, it's nonsense when you really think about it. It's a bunch of guys playing a power play who don't know what they're doing. The guys at Sony right now haven't been doing so well.
Right.
Their last president decides to let her emails. She gets hacked, and she spends half her time bad mouthing every actor and actresses on email. Like when you run a company, even the mail guy knows not to put anything in an email, but she loads it up and bad mouths everybody, and then gets fired. And Sony bombs because Garfield gets out in front of a bunch of people and then blows off his meeting with all the Sony execs, and they're going, "Screw you," so we're out.
Who did the last Fantastic Four? Was that Sony?
No, that was Fox.
Okay.
No, Fox was a train wreck, and the only reason why Disney acquired them was for their basically catalog. They didn't care about any movie Fox had in production right now.
Right.
They were hoping it would make some money, but all the Marvel movies Fox has in production are dogs. You had the Dark Phoenix dog. You have the X Mutants, which is going to be a dog, which they're trying to reshoot and fix. Sony had a couple properties. They have all the Spider-Man properties. For example, there's a vampire in Spider-Man called Morbius. Mm-hmm. And it's this doctor who was trying to cure cancer or something else and made himself a vampire instead. So they're gonna take that one out. They're gonna make Venom 2. Now they're thinking, well, Venom 2 worked well, and Spider-Man's done real. Spider-Man did real well because Marvel actually put their thumb right on it.
But with Venom 2, I mean, you kind of at some point you have to add in Spider-Man to the Venom story, right? Because that's his nemesis. I mean, it's like doing the Joker without Batman.
They're not gonna have him. There's a good chance that Tobey Maguire will not show up.
Well, not Tobey Maguire.
You know what I mean?
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire, I liked him in the first movie. The second movie was kind of dry, and the third movie was kind of dry.
Third one was terrible.
Here's the test, and this is the test for all great movies. You need a great villain.
Yes.
That's why the Joker works in all of them, because the Joker is a great written villain. It really doesn't matter who plays the Joker. Really, when you think about it, you got a bunch of actors all maybe winning the Oscar off of the same character, which is bizarre because they're talking about Phoenix possibly getting an Oscar nod for the Joker.
Yeah.
So how good does a character have to be that multiple people could play him and get Oscar nod? I mean, Jack Nicholson, originally they said they thought that might have been an Oscar performance too.
But Jared Leto, even though I thought it was okay, I went back and watched that again. It is not the best Joker, Jared Leto.
Well, he wasn't in there. He was a supporting character at best. They cut all of his parts.
But he was the Joker, though.
When you have an ensemble cast, the problem is trying to give enough love to each character. And if you have 3 minutes for this character and 5 minutes for that one, and you have a whopping 90 minutes, you're not going to be able to define a character out. And I've learned that in my own books when I have 5 female characters and I got to create their origins and I got to tell a story and I got to do all this stuff in 100 pages. And it's just difficult to do.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really get to spread the love like you should.
I wonder if we'll ever get to see though the version, like, because Jared Leto said he did a ton of scenes that like didn't end up in Suicide Squad. Like, will there ever be like a special edition release that just shows just what he was doing? Because he said he liked a lot of the stuff that he did, and none of that was in the movie.
Well, some of those you have the Bryan Singer cut of Justice League that people say exist, and Bryan Singer was the original director, and he got bumped off. He lost his mind or something, and they said that original cut was fantastic, but only a few people have seen it. Like Jason Momoa said he saw it. He said, "Oh, it was sick." And I think people use the word sick like they use the word surreal. It's a generic term people use when they don't know what to say.
Yeah.
But it sounds like there was this cut running around that people were watching. Go, wow, this is going to be really good.
Speaking of Jason Momoa and Aquaman, I saw a story this week where Jason Momoa is saying he's not going to do Aquaman 2 if
he's screwing around
in Hawaii. They've got that the big telescope they're going to put on a mountain, and they said
it's sacred land.
It's sacred land, and so he's using that as leverage. He said, he's protesting this thing going on in Hawaii, and he's saying it. He knows he's not doing it. He
just knows that it's going to get a lot of click-throughs if he does that. He has no intention of not filming Aquaman. It's just he's just doing typical stuff that is actually smart. He's trying to get awareness out there.
Well, he's probably under contract, right?
Because they remember when Wonder Woman said she wasn't Godot said she wasn't. She said she was not going to play Wonder Woman and something else. Her agent goes, "Dude, you got a contract." Well, I will if I have to.
Well, that was if she had to work with someone in the
director,
Me Too,
one of the molesters,
yeah, a legend, yeah.
Well, it wasn't a kid, but a woman. What do you call those guys?
The Me Too people.
Well, there's got to be a word other than Me Too.
Me Too Lesters.
The Me Too Lesters.
Oh my God! Did you just coin something? Me Too Lesters.
Yeah. Could be.
Ooh, you're a Me Too Lester.
That's mine, internet. I got that.
You got it. I think we inspired it. We were your muse on this one.
There you go.
Yeah.
But Jason Mewes, they're talking about Jason Mewes. They're doing Kevin Smith and him are shooting the sequel to Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, I saw the trailer, and actually, it's a really funny trailer. I'm not a big. Kevin Smith seems okay, but I'm not like this huge fan of all of his work. And Jason Mewes, we spoke to him recently.
Yeah.
And the trailer does look really funny. I'll be honest.
You were mentioning during the show when we were doing the radio show earlier. You were talking about how he got into it, how Kevin Smith got into it with Ben Affleck about his portrayal of Batman.
Yeah,
I guarantee Affleck will be in the movie though. He'll pop up
in
Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, well, I heard they patched things up.
Well, how mad could you be? I don't like his interpretation of Batman. That's it. We're out.
Well, no, here's what happens. He doesn't like his interpretation. He says something in an interview and says that he doesn't like it. So then his buddy Ben Affleck hears it and he's not talking to him. They're still human too. They get their feelings hurt.
I mean, there's a lot of silliness in the world that people they take it so serious, and you know why? Because we love these characters. We love, and anytime you screw with them, we think you don't have a right to because they're our childhood, and we've talked about this before. Them chasing the ethnicity or the sexual orientation of a character, and we're up in arms because it feels like you stole something from us.
Well, yeah, it's not the way we imagined it as a kid.
Is it a theft? Is it actually a theft?
What's that?
I mean, it might be. I mean, I've been thinking about this. I've been trying to ponder this through my head. I said, well, they're not our characters, but they kind of are. I mean, we're the ones who've been supporting it. We're the ones who watched when we were kids and, watching the original Spider-Man shows and everything else like that. And when you take something that we love and just, rip it apart because you think that's your right creatively to do, is it right?
Well, I mean, I can see the argument on both sides. Like, if you're like a minority in one way, you want to see characters that represent yourself, and that's good. And there's not a ton of those that exist in the mainstream, but also,
but you can create new characters. You don't have to change the old ones. See, I go back and forth with this as well. Because
I can see that too. But as a kid growing up, I also want to see the character that I liked in the movie when I'm like 20 years later, when I'm an adult as well.
My original problem was with 007, James Bond. And they were like, oh, we're going to make Idris Elba James Bond. I'm like, but no, James Bond is a white guy from Britain. And I'm like, that's just changing the whole story. But then when I kind of looked into it a little bit more, I can imagine Idris Elba playing James Bond. That one doesn't bother me as much. But if it were Batman and they made Batman black, that's just not the way it was written.
I mean, we watched Hobbs and Shaw.
Loved it.
And Adrian, what's his name again?
Idris Elba.
Idris. God, that's a tough one, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sure his agent was going, you sure you want to keep that? Idris, he was good in the movie.
Oh, he was great.
He was good in the movie. And I liked him in Thor. I liked him in a bunch of different things. I loved him in the show called Luther, which was on the BBC, which was a fantastic show. Do you think a guy like that will go, yeah, I want to take a lot of crap by being Bond?
Yeah,
I don't think if they offered him Bond, he would take it.
I think he turned it down to do this Hobbs and Shaw movie.
He turned down Bond to do Hobbs and Shaw?
I believe that's the story. I'm not joking. I believe so. Matter of fact, that's why he wouldn't say the line. They wanted him to say the line, "Oh, I'm the black James Bond." They changed it to "I'm the black Superman," because he's like, I'm not going to say that. That just feeds into to all the hoopla.
I mean, I saw him on a show. Have you ever seen that show called Hot Wings, where you have this guy Hot Ones?
Yeah.
I think Hot Wings because they just loads of it's a celebrity, and what they do is, and the guy, his name's Sean. Forget what the guy is. The interview with Sean something. A fantastic interview. Always has the information down, and he's going through their
Sean
lives.
Evans.
And Adrius is across from him and goes, oh yeah, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad. And it's normally about the seventh wing that they realize, oh, this is going to turn on me really quickly. And I could feel that. He was a rapper too. I mean, he's a musician.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, he's done really well. But it's really interesting when you find out who he is outside of the actor. And he didn't mention. I think intentionally they didn't mention anything about Bond on it. But he was talking about what it's like to, success didn't come easy, and it's been a process and everything else like that. But I don't know if I could see him as a James Bond.
Yeah, at first I couldn't, but I was able to change my mind with that. But because you do have British people that are black, so I could see.
I mean, they changed it. For example, one of my favorite shows growing up was Magnum PI.
Yes,
love Magnum. Oh yeah, Detroit Tigers. Come on, dude. That was such an easy one. Sorry if you're wondering about the hat. This is my victory dance. Might be wearing this hat because I won two straight weeks in a row trivia for all those people who are wondering. I got my Bubbaloo's hat for killing it.
Trivia night with Ryan Holmes, who was voted the best trivia night in Orlando.
Yeah.
Congratulations, sir.
Winning, and Jeff keeps winning it. Stop showing up to my gigs, Jeff.
Hey, hold on. Maybe that's the reason why you're winning.
Maybe. You might be right.
Maybe I help you put it over the top. I did a hi-fi ring across the room too when we were done.
Okay.
Hi-fied every table. Shared the wealth, took the bucket, gave the stuff away. But I think when it comes down to it, we get stuck in our ways. And like the new Magnum, I couldn't watch to save my life.
Yeah, I tried. I cannot imagine that guy as Magnum PI. Yeah, I agree.
No, and they go, well, and it's not that they change the ethnicity of the character, because obviously the character is Spanish now, but I didn't didn't look at it that way. I just think of my Magnum as a 6'5" guy with a mustache.
Yeah.
So when you change the character so greatly across the board, it's hard to go, okay, I get it. So I don't know. I tried to watch it. They made a Higgins a woman.
Yeah.
And I'm going, God, come on. Small changes. Don't just beat me to death with your changes.
With big changes, yeah.
Yeah, those were big ones.
Wait, Higgins is a woman in
Higgins is a woman in the new.
That's ridiculous.
And Higgins was this kind of, he was pretending he was this British geeky guy. And now they got this, kind of a model-like girl playing him. And I was like, okay, I don't know.
Hey, when to change gears a little bit, when does the new Titans come out?
Maybe end of the year.
Oh, okay. And it's on...
Oh, that's going to be loaded.
Yeah.
The new Titans season that's coming out. I hope it depends. When does HBO Max come out? I got to look into it. HBO Max is going to eat up DC Universe and a couple other people. So that's going to be its own network. And I've been actually checking the Disney prices have been now ridiculous. They're $12 is what Disney's going to charge for their service.
And what's their service going to include?
Everything. It's going to have everything online. You're going to have the Disney stuff. You're going to have the kids stuff. You're going to have ESPN.
New Titans comes out next month. September 6th.
Yeah, I knew it was soon.
Oh my God! Right when I get back from Dragon Con.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, everyone, Dragon Con Atlanta will be there. I think I got a special book to bring with you. I'm not telling. But it'll be Dragon Con's in Atlanta. For those people who are listening to us in Atlanta, we're there. We're on the 3rd floor. We're right at the entrance.
So what is Dragon Con for people that don't know?
Dragon Con is Dragon Con is a 5-day party where people just. It's not like San Diego where everyone's going, oh, I want to see the celebrities and I want to feel important. No, Dragon Con is people save their money all year round to be able to come to be part of this event. More than half the people dress up. So it's a huge cosplay event. And everywhere you walk, and
there's parties everywhere.
Like in San Diego, everything dies around 1 o'clock. You notice how that dead zone hit?
Mm-hmm.
We were all drinking. It was like 12 at night and nobody else is out other than us. We were like, wait a minute, what's going on? San Diego shuts down at 1 o'clock. Atlanta never shuts down.
Yeah.
So it'll be 4 o'clock in the morning and stuff will still be going
Furry parties.
hard. I have a friend of mine who's an artist, Sora Soon, who is so afraid of going to Dragon Con. She goes, I've heard all of it. It's like a Gomorrah. It's on Sodom.
Well, she drew one of our covers. Yeah.
Yeah. She's Asian and interesting. She's very, Dragon Con scares her. Because she's afraid of the party taking her away.
She's Asian and she's afraid of dragons? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. We have some terrible Sora Soon jokes we'll share later. She's funny. She's actually one of the nicest people in the industry. But it's really strange when you go. I sent Ken Hunt his stuff.
Oh.
So Ken's got his books. He's got his Jolly Jane jersey.
Oh, okay.
And of course, Larissa, she said, I said, he needs his Jolly Jane jersey. So she sends him the Billy Tucci cover.
Oh.
Not his cover.
Oh,
so he opens it up and it's the cover he didn't draw.
Oh yeah,
on the jersey, and he's like, it's not like, hey, you sent me Billy's cover. I was like, oh, dude, and I got Larissa. What did you ask me to do? It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Moose and Squirrel lit me up.
He liked the jersey I was wearing, and when I was out in San Diego, he goes, Russ, great jersey. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. I didn't realize I was wearing the jersey that had his artwork on it.
Yeah, I think we broke him. I think we broke Ken Hunt. Ken Hunt is a cover artist. He should not be doing interiors. And his
interiors look great.
He got what a lot of artists happen when they go, oh, I can do this. I used to do this all the time. And a guy who hasn't done interior pages are like the 6-panel stuff on the inside, the fight scenes and everything else, not just the beautiful cover. And when you do a cover takes you a day or two. Doing 8 pages of interiors takes you 7 months.
Yeah.
And I think we broke him. He was like, I think my hand.
So he's not going to do it anymore?
I don't know. He's not doing it anymore. But AJ's doing fantastic work. I showed you the work he's doing. Mm-hmm. Jim Brown, he got the first looks of it. I didn't tell Jim we had started.
Jim Brown does the coloring.
Yeah, Jim Brown colors. He also colors our book, but he does Transformers and G.I. Joe too.
So there are people that do just the artwork, and then there are other people that just do the coloring, and then of course we write the story. There's so much involved in a comic book. I had no idea, but there's a lot involved in it, guys. I mean,
Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe.
What's that?
Officially Asian.
What's that?
Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe.
Oh, the villain from G.I. Joe?
Joe, yeah.
Okay.
Not the villain. He was on G.I. Joe, but he always had his face covered. So you might have thought he was Asian. Officially Asian.
How do you know he's officially Asian?
Because the actor who's playing him is Asian.
Oh.
unless they don't ever show his face. And this is a beautiful Asian dude. He was in Crazy Rich Asians. Was that the movie that just came out with the woman from Fresh Off the Boat?
Yes.
The weird thing is she plays the mother in Fresh Off the Boat. And they make her like a 26-year-old girl in this movie, Crazy Rich Asians. And I was like, wow, that's the same woman? So,
yeah, I mean, man, I hate that show.
Why?
Because
Fresh off the Boat. I love that show.
Because it's supposed to be in Orlando.
Because it's supposed to be in Orlando, and none of it's in Orlando.
Yeah.
Hey, we watched the Gator movie Crawl, and they were talking about the South Coast.
I understand, and that's why I don't like it. Yeah, you understand? Like when you set something in a place, even the movie Carlos is in, Identity Thief, is set in Winter Park, Florida at the beginning. It's not even close to Winter Park, Florida.
No.
They have mountains in Crawl. You can see in the distance. They had like a mountain in the back. I'm going, where is this? And it was like where did they film that? In Croatia or somewhere?
Yeah,
I think it was Croatia.
Serbia. And the cool thing about Snake Eyes, I've always liked Snake Eyes. The story behind how Snake Eyes even exists in the first place was the toy. It was a toy first, and they were running low on money, right? So they're like, well, just have one of the toys, and it'll just be all black, and we'll save a ton of money on painting. Like, so it ended up being their most popular G.I. Joe character.
Yeah.
Was the one that they made because they didn't have paint.
Is this really?
Yes.
Yeah. They were trying to save money.
Sure? Yeah, they were trying to save money.
It wasn't that they didn't have paint.
They were saving money.
They're like, we have all these bodies. Let's just make the whole thing black.
Are you sure this isn't one of those rumors?
No, this is true. Yeah.
I saw the documentary about this. Yeah, and they're like, we'll just say this is a villain, and turned out, well, gosh, this villain's selling really well. We need to put it in the comic. Well, yeah.
You know, I was watching this guy. What are those influencers? The guys who do YouTube videos and just run around acting stupid. And this one guy says, he goes, yeah, content was cool. And it was on the sports show. And he goes, so my most popular video was we had to film something. I said, well, I'm just going to come in the door dancing. Is that going to work? He's going, all right, sure. And he goes, I need to put something up today. So he walks in the house. He's just dancing a little bit. And they upload it, and million views.
Oh, yeah.
First 100,000 views. He's going, just because I was dancing in the door, you never know what people are going to watch.
It's so funny to see that on YouTube where like these people will be making great content, like really hard work on this stuff. And then they'll realize this one dumb thing that they did that hits. And so they'll just keep doing the same thing over and over again. And I find that fascinating. Like I watched this one group, it's called the Corridor Crew, and they talk about CGI. They're CGI guys. And they would do these like really complicated videos, sometimes like almost stunty stuff that they do in the movies, and then they just realized all they have to do is sit around and react to good and bad CGI, and all their videos went from like 300,000 to like 5 million every time.
It is. I think that. How do I put it? I think the dumber you are, the more people want to watch you.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
if I sit here with a hammer and just beat myself in the penis all day long, it would get 200,000.
Well, like one of the biggest guys.
I'll get a hammer if you want one.
Yeah. I think we have people who will take one for the team. You know, people.
One of the biggest guys on YouTube right now is a guy named Mr. Beast, and his most popular videos are he watches like a music video for 10 hours and just sits there or counting to the number like a million or something. Like, and those videos get like 30 million views. Like, obviously everybody's not sitting there watching it, but it's that kind of stupid stuff that like got him like crazy famous and crazy rich.
And you know what? I'm not going to be the old guy here. I'm not going to be the guy who goes, we had such great humor because we did have the dumbest television that existed. We think this. I mean,
you go back and look at some of that stuff.
If you go back to the original comedy, Laurel and Hardy, Bud Abbott, all that stuff.
Oh, that stuff still holds up. That stuff's still really funny.
But it's still moron. You had the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
It was just dumb. It was Gilligan's Island. Dumb.
It was dumb.
And we're going to yell at some guy because he does a video of him jumping off a roof.
And you know what I realized was really, really dumb is I went because I have the DC Universe thing and Shazam. Let me go watch Shazam. I used to love that show. That was a great show. You watch it now. It was not a great show.
No,
it was really stupid.
Think of the original Batman. You try to watch some of those Burt Ward.
I still like those because they're tongue-in-cheek comedy kind of. But when I was a kid, I thought they were real.
Yes, Commissioner.
Yeah.
With the red phone. Yes,
real cheesy. Yeah, it's real cheesy. But
what up, Brian? Sorry,
that's all right.
Blast from the past. My buddy Brian Trebby. He's the one, the baseball on my desk, when I told you how to catch a baseball at a game.
Yeah.
I said, you don't catch it. You just wait for it to smack off somebody else and just pick it off the ground.
Right.
Brian, we were at the game and I was telling Brian that. And Brian goes, that's crazy, Jeff. He reached out and that ball hit him so hard and hit the ground. I reached up and picked the ball and the umpire saw me do it and felt so bad for Brian. He walked over and handed him the ball.
Because people try to catch the ball, but
never be the one to reach out.
Because they can't, because it hurts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, unless you have a glove on, you're going to take. That's why they go, well, and see people say, well, ESPN, they show those guys. That's because it's unusual for the guy to catch it.
Right.
It's always 8 guys scampering on the ground for the ball.
Ryan, you're watching the opening for Shazam, and I will tell you, the opening is the best part of the whole thing. Like, the opening's not too bad, actually.
ISIS was, remember ISIS? That was a bad one.
It was the Shazam ISIS Power Hour.
Yeah, I'm guilty. But then there's HR puffing stuff.
You know what? Also, maybe you might know because you're the king of the nerds over there.
Bit.
But with Shazam, they had one actor playing Shazam for like 2 seasons, and then they had another guy that switched. And I wonder why they switched it out. Because there was another guy that
Jackson Boswick at first, and then there's another guy.
There's another guy that played Shazam.
I guarantee the guy goes, I think I could be doing a better role than a kid show every morning.
You think
people didn't remember? Even Stan Lee lied about what he was doing to his fan. He didn't want the world to know that he was a comic book writer. His name was Stanley Lieberman.
Because he was embarrassed of it?
Yes, he was really embarrassed.
Yeah.
So, but then Stan Lee, he's the most famous person on the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask a kid who Albert Einstein is or Stan Lee, they'll probably know Stan Lee.
Yeah. I don't know if kids know who Stan Lee is.
They don't teach that. Oh, Spider-Man. Yeah, they know him.
Do they?
He's the old guy in all the Marvel movies.
Oh yeah. Did you find it, Brian?
So the executive producers thought he was holding out for more money when he didn't show up to set one day at the start of the second season.
Yeah.
But he had injured himself doing a takeoff the day before and was at the doctor's office.
Oh, so they just threw another actor in.
That's what happens. You don't have cell phones. If you had a cell phone, you'd still have a job.
Yeah, I guess a stunt box had collapsed that he was on doing like a flying scene and collapsed. And he broke his toe and was at the doctor's, and they thought he was holding out for more money, so they just replaced him.
That day?
Yeah, it looks like it happened about that
cold
fast.
stuff.
And the second guy didn't look as good. At least, I don't know. When I was a kid, I was really mad that they switched out actors. I'm like, that obviously is not Shazam.
I only paid attention to the kid. Who really?
It was actually apparently a precedent-setting case for the Screen Actors Guild because the guy he got paid for all of the shows they didn't use him on, plus residuals for that whole season.
Did he really?
Yeah, so he
still got a contract.
Yeah, so he still got paid.
Do they have a photo of the guy that replaced him?
He was fired at 1:00 p.m. that day, and he was the new guy was on the set by 3 p.m.
Time is money.
Damn,
time is money.
Like, look, this suit fit you.
Basically, when it comes down to that, like the suit fit the other guy, and he was in.
Well, the other guy had bad hair. I remember his hair was not as good.
I'm trying to find who that guy is, but I can't.
We got makeup. We just got the guy.
But
put him on.
I was a kid at the time, but I loved Shazam. I thought he was cool.
There's a guy named John Davies that replaced him.
Oh, is that who it was?
I wonder their careers. If you chart their careers and see what one did afterwards, and did his career just plummet? The guy who broke his toe in comparison to the guy who took over? And was it like a Tom Brady thing?
Is that guy still
Tom Brady fills in and winds up to become the GOAT in comparison to everything else?
And is the first guy going around at like a comic book convention signing autographs as the original Shazam?
Oh, I had a good friend of mine who was a singer, and she took over for another girl, and these two had a fight for years over who the real person was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they take that stuff so seriously. No, I'm the real person. No, I'm the real person. And I can't say that online because then I'll get sued.
No, we don't want that.
No, I like to do the suing. I don't like to be sued.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine it's got to be difficult if you replace as an actor, but for con, it doesn't matter, right? You still get to go. You're not, as long as you don't use any of their logos.
Yeah, but then the guy goes, "Well, you're not the real one. You were." My people are tough. My people are assholes.
Now, do your people line up more towards like generally the first one cast or the replacement?
It depends which one was more popular. If the show took off, when they'll go, "Well, I was the original dude," and you're going, "Well, you were in the pilot. You weren't in the original." It's so strange how they swap everyone out. Everyone gets the boot, and then the one guy gets kept on. And I never quite understand that. I guess there's some guy going, "This just doesn't work. Let's try something else." After you've already spent a ridiculous amount of money.
I always thought it would probably be pretty hard to be like a Doctor Who, just because you're going to be compared to every other Doctor Who.
But aren't there like 14?
And people are going to have their favorites, especially with the new reboot. I mean,
the woman.
Well, she's especially have the hardest time, even because like people didn't really like the one before her as much either. Like the older cranky Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So you got your two, you got your David Tennant and your Matt Smith, most popular ones by far, and then you've got to replace them, and people are just gonna be like, "You'll never be David Tennant."
Well, here's where the mistake happens. Doctor Who's the cool thing about Doctor Who is anytime they get tired with the actor, they just kill him off and put somebody else on.
Right.
Oh, he regenerated into this new Doctor, and some of them I've been able to tolerate. Some they just bored the hell out of me. Like the guy, David Tennant was fantastic. He replaced another great actor who was only on for a year who got uppity. I forgot what his name was.
Yeah,
he was a good.
Was Cumberbatch?
No, Cumberbatch was Sherlock.
Sherlock. Okay.
And the problem with Sherlock is when I watch Sherlock, I realize, I go, wow, I am a terrible writer. Watching that show, I just go, wow, the writing on the show is so smart, and I'm just writing dick and fart jokes. What is this about? And after the end of the show, I just need alcohol and drugs. I just sit there and my stupor going, I don't know what I write anymore.
It's the best rendition of Sherlock Holmes for like a live action.
But Cumberbatch is fantastic. And the other actor who was in The Hobbit, I forgot, and also in all the Marvel movies,
and the original Office.
He was?
Yeah, the English version of The Office.
Wow.
You talk about terrible television, though, talking about Doctor Who. Like in the early 70s, like Doctor Who would come on Sunday morning, like real early when I was a kid. And I remember watching it, even then going, man, this is bad. It was terrible.
Well, what happened to Doctor Who is a pretty interesting story. Like, it was a super popular show right when it first came out. And then...
What year did it first come out? Was it
the 1960s.
It was the 60s.
I think it was the 60s when it first came out.
That was Sylvester McCoy. Sylvester was he was also in The Hobbit, too. He was one of the first Doctor Who's.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then what they did was like they started cutting the budget of Doctor Who in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really severely cutting the budget, but they still would have to do these like... sci-fi epic stuff. So it started to look real bad, real cheesy, and actually started becoming an embarrassment for the BBC.
Oh, yeah.
How bad it was. So then they came up with this version of the Doctor that they purposely made for people,
the guy with the fro?
For people not to like. It's the guy with the fro and the umbrella.
Yeah.
And he was very colorful and
people loved him.
People liked him, but they made it so people would hate him. So so hardcore fans of the show were still sort of in, but for the most part, your casual viewer was like, "What is this? What is?" If
you were a hardcore fan of the original Doctor Who, you had problems to begin with. I mean, that the BBC cut that budget so bad. The door looked with the vacuum cleaner with the thing that would just it would electrocute you from a distance. I mean, those were like the dumbest villains on the planet.
Well, they made
they
a
were
joke.
Roombas basically.
They made a joke when they rebooted Doctor Who because they couldn't afford to make the Daleks fly or like go upstairs. So the joke was like, you just run up the stairs, they can't go because they're giant Roombas. So the first thing that they do in the new Doctor Who, they rebooted, they're like, oh, just run up the stairs. Well, now they have a CGI budget, so the thing flies up the stairs.
Why couldn't they just lift it up with a string?
Man, I don't know.
I mean, Spider-Man, they had who's that guy Hammond who played Spider-Man in the original, those TV shows? Peter Hammond, what was this?
Oh, I don't know.
The guy was he actually looked like Peter Parker.
Any chance of them bringing like Doctor Who and making a major motion picture out of it? Because I mean, it's been around for a long
There's
time.
been talks for years about that happening, and I think they kind of missed the boat because like now they
could still do it if they did it right.
I think Doctor Who lost a bit of their fan base.
How's the ratings on the woman who took over?
It's not as good because what they did, they went away from sci-fi, and it's very political now.
Oh.
And it's just like, I'm not here for the political message. I like the sci-fi story. Please just go back in time and save the people and do the thing.
Yeah.
I wonder, and the question is, how do you, when you make a decision like this, and I honestly, I haven't seen Peter Grimaldi, forgot the old guy who took over for Matt Smith.
Pete Capaldi.
Yeah, and I bored the crap out of him. I don't know what it was. I just couldn't get into the guy. And not because he was old, but because he just wasn't as interesting as Matt Smith or the ones before him.
He was too curmudgeon for me. Like
curmudgeon. Is that just like old Jewish?
Like, no, you don't have to be like old to be curmudgeon. You can
just have to be like, Jewish to be curmudgeon?
No, you don't have to be Jewish either. Is that
I didn't know that was a dig. Curmudgeon.
No, it's just like curmudgeon. It's like, oh.
Curmudgeon says, hey, babe,
I'm not gonna help anybody.
I gotta have a bagel and a smear.
Like he couldn't be bothered.
Grumpy old man.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think that they would ever be able to bring it? So you say no on Doctor Who. What about Flash Gordon? Like the Flash Gordon movie was horrible.
Shut your mouth.
Terrible.
That was fantastic. That was Queen. Flash. Oh, he saves every one of us.
God,
I love that
so
movie.
bad.
And he sticks his hand in the thing, Oh God, and he's flying on the jet skis.
Go back and watch it. Go back and watch it now.
I can watch it because I know it's supposed to be cheesy.
Yeah.
If they did it as a funny movie, it would be probably okay.
It was funny. It was. I love that.
They were trying to make it real.
Was Timothy Dalton in that movie?
Timothy Dalton? I don't think so.
I forgot who the villain was. Look it up.
Well, that'd be Ming the Merciless, right?
No, he was a good-looking guy. He was like he worked for Ming. But yeah, Flash Gordon, I love that
Timothy
movie.
Dalton, yeah.
I was right.
Yeah.
Timothy Dalton. You mean 007?
Well, I don't call him 007.
Well, no, he was a 007.
He was, but he looks more like a villain than Bond. That was the problem.
Oh, so he was a bad guy in Flash Gordon.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
He does look like a villain, though.
He can't look like, you can't make him the hero when he looks like he should be killing somebody.
Well, that was the problem with Daniel Craig right off the bat too. He looked like
Daniel Craig's a good-looking guy.
Yeah, but he still had a bad guy look to him.
Yes, but he's a good-looking dude, though. Daniel Craig, I saw him in my wife and I saw him on Broadway with him and Hugh Jackman. Him did a 2-man show, and that's a good-looking dude. You know, if I went that way.
What was the premise of Flash Gordon? He was like a football star.
He played for the New York Jets.
Yeah,
and
it's really bad.
And this reporter and him get basically taken into space where he fights Ming the Merciless and wins because nobody else has huevos other than Flash Gordon.
You're watching some of it now, Ryan Holmes, and is that not the cheesiest? I mean, it's so bad.
I like that he has his own name on his T-shirt.
Flash.
Yeah.
I got no problem with that. I kind of like that.
Oh, if you get good and drunk and watch that, it's fun.
I think I would see. This is the problem.
So he's just a regular guy. He doesn't have superpowers.
No. No,
I love the idea of that. Though.
He can just throw
Hell
footballs.
Yeah.
He throws footballs really fast. That was his thing.
He had the jet ski, and he was like Flash. Oh, see, back in the day, even Rick Morgan liked it.
Yeah, back in the day.
Well, that's like a.
Could they update that though and make it cool?
Yes,
that's a lot of. No, the problem you're going to have is this: it's going to have a Buck Rogers feel to it, and it really was in a way. Buck Rogers was kind of a ripoff of Flash Gordon.
Yeah, I always thought they were kind of the same people
because you have the same basically character. You got this macho guy stuck in a world where he doesn't fit in and has to deliver. And like Gil Gerard played Buck Rogers in the television show, and actually I'm going to be I do Gil's panel every year at DragonCon, so I'll be seeing Gil, and I'm having dinner with Lou
Ferrigno,
Mr. Ferrigno. And that's always having dinner with Lou is always this fun thing because I forget that
he's deaf.
That he can hear you. He's an implant.
Yeah.
He just pretends he can't hear you because most people are dicks when they talk to him.
Yeah.
I've never seen people act more like dicks. The whole world is like 50% dick and 50% regular.
Why do you say?
Because people, when they see Ferrigno, they automatically revert to dick mode. Where, hey, could you arm wrestle my girlfriend?
No.
They start the dumbest shit they say to this guy, and he's like. He's healthy. He's a big dude, but he's like, what? Am I on display? You want me to lift you up? I mean, they'll run across the street to assault him with dumb fucking things to say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't.
I definitely did that
one
time. Lou Ferrigno, when the original Hulk came out on the movie of the Hulk, Lou Ferrigno was doing an event at the AMC in Altamont.
Okay.
And I don't know how I got it. We won tickets to meet Lou Ferrigno or something. And I just asked very stupid questions as a child.
We were a kid.
Yeah. I mean, but still, I look back on that time and cringe. The questions were just, I think I asked him if he could pick me up. Just silly things like that, and just
yeah, but you're not an adult.
No,
Lou and I will be at the bar, and Lou's a pretty quiet guy. He's not this loud, big dude. He's a quiet guy. He talks about his family. We talk about. It's very weird to have this conversation about happiness and health. And I remember the first time I had dinner with him, it was him and Gil Gerard, and my mom calls. And the phone is ringing off the table, and take the phone. I go, well, it's my mom. I got to take it, and and I pick up the phone, and I'm like, Mom, are you okay? Because it's late at night. Late at night on a Saturday, she's supposed to be sleeping. It's your mother, and she says, she goes, oh no, I'm okay. Are you? What are you doing? I said, well, I'm there with some friends. She goes, oh, do I know them? Well, it's Gil and Lou, and they go, do I know them? Well, it's Gil, Lou Ferrigno and my mom goes, "You're having dinner with the Hulk and Buck Rogers?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not having dinner with the Hulk and Buck Rogers." And that was the first thing they heard, and they're hysterical. And Gil's like, "Let me talk to your mother." "You're not talking to my mother, Gil." And people think that that's who they are, and they forget that was 30, 40 years ago.
Hey, you just reminded me. So you were a kid when you did that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just remembered my mom took me to meet Adam West, Batman, when I was a kid. And I was a huge Batman fan. And
What's your name, little boy?
Right around that time, they had just switched everything here in town, and they put the Lone Ranger on instead of Batman, and I was really upset by it. So I waited in line for 3 hours to meet Adam West, and I'm like, and he's in his Batman thing, right? I'm like, "Mr. Batman, they put the Lone Ranger on instead of you. Can you go tell him to change it?" And Adam was like, "Well, I'll get right on that, son," or something like that. He signs the thing, and get on your way. But I remember thinking that if anyone could fix it, it'd be Batman.
Well, yeah, it makes perfect sense.
It did make good sense. But I like the Lone Ranger too. But everything has a hierarchy.
Not
Batman's better than Lone Ranger.
That was some racist stuff though. Back then, we forgot that. Like Tonto.
The Lone Ranger.
Yeah, Tonto.
Tonto was his best friend. That wasn't racist.
It's a little.
He was his buddy.
Kimosabe.
What's wrong with that?
I don't know. Then again, Johnny Depp couldn't have done anything. Oh my God!
And you know what?
How did they get away with doing that racist crap?
Who played Tonto? Do you know?
I do not know.
Jay Silverheels, and Jay Silverheels was a gay man in Hollywood. A lot of people don't know that.
Well, you had a lot of gay men in Hollywood that have been closeted till their death, which you have to be, because when people ask me why somebody would hide their sexuality, it's because if we hate you as a person, or are not interested in you as a person, we're not interested in you as an actor. It's the way that works. I mean, when people talk to you, for example, they expect Radio Russ when they meet you, and if you don't give them Radio Russ, there's a disappointment. Okay.
I'm pretty much the same guy all the time, though.
Well, I mean, there's a difference between when you're on a 10 and when you're at the table on a 7.
Yeah.
I mean, when people expect that, you try to give it to them. It's like when we do conventions. You see me at a convention, I'm 9-10 because people don't want to see the guy. You want to see this? No, they want to be entertained.
Who's the nerd of the week?
Well, we've talked about this, and I'm giving it to Kevin Smith.
Okay.
And I've already discussed this earlier. Kevin Smith is a director, and his career is based on how people feel about him. And when he found out that the problems that Sony was having a problem with Marvel, and they were going to break the deal, and it's still in negotiations. Don't believe that it's over. He went off, and he's not allowed to go off because his career. He doesn't know if Sony wants to hire him or it'll affect his future job.
Or Disney.
He was in favor of Marvel.
Marvel. He goes, give Marvel whatever they want.
Yeah.
Do not screw up this franchise. And they would. Sony would screw this up, and they'll go, well, we'll try to follow Marvel's path. No, Marvel has a very specific path. They have specific directors. They have specific ways of doing things.
Right.
And Sony just can't copy that. So if they bail and this next movie is done by Sony alone, it's going to bomb. It's going to bomb. And they're just so hard-headed because
there's not a script yet for the next Spider-Man?
Because usually Marvel has normally we have villains. They know who they want to make the villain but as far as I know, they don't know what the next one is.
Yeah, Marvel usually has. I mean, they're like 15 steps ahead. Like they already have the movies already figured out.
I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen the movie, because there's a huge cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So they obviously know where they're going from the cliffhanger.
Exactly.
But who the villain's going to be and who's that's going to be, you don't know. I mean, Mysterio won't be the next one, so it'll be okay. Do you bring back the Green Goblin?
No.
Why not?
I'd bring back. I don't know. There's so many.
I think you do. I think you bring him back.
He
is the best Spider-Man villain ever.
See, I think Venom's a better Spider-Man villain.
No, stop
overall.
it. It's all CGI. Ugh, and stuff's coming off him. I mean, honestly, watch this. Spider-Man. Venom's ability is to be able to use his costume to shoot anything he wants out of it. I mean, blades, spears, whatever. He could do anything. So if Spider-Man is within 2 feet of him, he could cut off the guy's head. Okay, we can agree with that. So Venom is one of those characters that, other than when you play sound real loud, he's pretty much invulnerable to a lot of nonsense. Now, Harry Osborn or Norman Osborn, when they're the Green, they're strong. Crazy, but strong. And that's it. So that's more online with Spider-Man.
So they tried Sandman. It was all right. They did what's the crocodile? The
lizard.
Lizard. They did that. Dr. Octopus. That is his biggest nemesis. Is Dr. Octopus.
Dr. Octopus was smart, but it was really just this. All you had to do was punch him in the head, and he was done. I mean,
how did you get to the head though? With all of the flailing arms.
Okay, I jumped through with the arms. I've seen 400 versions of Doc Ock, and he jumps in, and you grab him. Oh, look, I got him. Choke him out.
In my recollection of all of the villains for Spider-Man, Doc Ock seems to be the one that I saw.
Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn is the villainous Bruce Wayne.
Okay.
When you think about it, he runs this huge company. He's rich. He's wealthy. He carries himself a certain way. He has expectations, and he is crazy.
If people want to get a copy of Jolly Jane now, what do they do?
www.bigcitycomics.com.
All right. And if you need to get hold of Jeff Kaufman for any legal advice, any legal things like that, it's whenyouneedus.com.
Or Jeff@whenyouneedus.com.
Okay. Very nice.
So if you fall down or something happens, call me.
Ryan Holmes, you're going to be doing trivia where?
You can find out by going and follow my social media at Ryan Holmes Comedy, and that's the best way to do that.
So I'm retired, dude.
You're retired?
I'm retired.
Good. Somebody else.
Actually, from what I hear, they've offered me your job.
That's it.
I'm the Ken Jennings. I'm Ken Jennings of Bubbaloo's Trivia.
I'm big time now. My rates just went up like 200%. Now that I'm the best trivia host in Orlando.
You are. There you go. You need to charge more.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Hey, guys, thank you for listening. And make sure you share the podcast if you could.
Share it. Let your friends know. Say, listen, I know these two boring fat guys who are semi-amusing. And then the thin guy.
There you go. And I'm the thin guy. All right. Thanks for paying attention to our nonsense. See you.